I went from negative on my business to doing over $200,000 a month. My influencer side of my brain was like deeply depressed. It's over, I'm screwed.
But we've actually realized that are a very untapped market.
So I just pulled up a document called Aman Master Plan.
Oh my gosh, it sounds like you're gonna conquer the world.
Right?
Most of the struggle actually, when you're trying to grow your own brand and business when you have a corporate job, is not necessarily courage and it's not necessarily knowledge, but it's...
My brain has learned that when things get tough/boring, the answer is quit and do something else. That's actually not the right answer at this stage. The right solution is...
Thank you, Aman, for coming on the podcast. Could you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. My name is Aman. I'm the CEO of the Software Engineering Accelerator. We run a career consulting company where we've helped over 300 people get incredible jobs in software engineering. On the side, I run a YouTube channel and an email newsletter. And I guess my claim to fame is that in last year, I was a full-time software engineer. And since I quit my full-time job, I went from earning negative on my business online to doing over $200,000 a month in top-line revenue. So that's a little bit about me.
Wow, that is amazing. So to start, I usually begin with an icebreaker. That is, what gets you up in the morning?
Ooh, that's a good one. Honestly, the gym. That's probably the first thing I do in the morning. But really, I think the bigger thing that I'm excited about whenever I wake up is learning more about whatever specific problem I'm struggling with in entrepreneurship. So lately, I've been wrestling a lot with customer experience and customer satisfaction. And that's a very niche topic. I think most people don't wake up thinking about customer experience. But something we've done really well over the past year in our business is the sales and marketing and like customer acquisition side of things is pretty good. Meaning like we're able to post content. We have a pretty good funnel. We're able to convert that into dollars. But the customer experience side of things, I feel like needs some work. Meaning, like, I think my program is pretty good, meaning, like, we have got a lot of good results. People say it's good. But as we scale to, like, 40 to 50 new students joining every month, we have noticed, like, oh, there's some random support issue, or the support person doesn't respond on time, or there's a student complaint about, like, not being able to schedule a mock interview or something. So that's really the big thing that we're working on is I feel like we have a lot of good stuff there, and we've had, like, amazing results, but now I want to make it so it's scalable to hundreds and hundreds of people joining every month. So that's the big thing I'm thinking about these days. And I guess generalized is like whatever my biggest problem is in business and life, I usually wake up excited to solve that.
Okay, that is wonderful. It is great to hear what's top of mind for you right now. And then when you come back on the pod, we can see how it's evolved over time. Do you feel like with more and more students as you're experiencing now, that is the main factor for why customer experience has been a little more of a area of improvement?
Definitely. So one thing you'll realize is like whenever you start something, you don't build it to last. So I think the famous Alex Hormozi example of this is if I said build a tower in 10 minutes, you're going to use paper towels and straws to build it. And if I said build a tower that's going to last 10 years, or you have 10 years to build a tower, you're not going to use paper towels and straws. You're going to go hire an architect. You're going to use concrete. So the approach to build something that lasts is different based on the time horizon you have. So when I started this, it was a few students joining every month. A year and a half ago, it wasn't nearly as big as it was now. It was all me doing all of the calls, all the email support, all the messaging. My students had my personal phone number, so they were calling me, texting me, whatever back then. And since then, we've really scaled it to help as many people as possible. So because of that, like the systems we use to get from like, 1 to 5 are not the one that we can use to get from 5 to 500. So we've had to like completely go down and redo everything, whether that's like hiring dedicated full-time 40-hour-week support people to like only answer student questions, or hiring like a dedicated operations person whose like whole job is to set up all the tech to actually work behind the scenes. A lot of my job nowadays is like, how do we construct this thing that can like survive thousands and thousands of students and print results?
Okay, awesome. And you recently attended a mastermind in London. Did that program help with any of the business problems you're working through right now? And could you tell us a bit about the program?
Absolutely. So some background on this. I'm not sure if everybody knows, but there's this YouTuber named Ali Abdal. He's probably my biggest inspiration in my life in general. I started my channel in business after watching his video 5 years ago about how much money he made as a doctor and YouTuber. And that inspired me just to launch my channel online. And since then, I've consumed a lot of his content. I've like purchased multiple of his courses, worked through his programs, and now he's actually a friend of mine. We've like collaborated on a video on his channel. It came out in February. It's called like How to Actually Make Money Online. So you guys can watch that. I think it's a pretty cool video. But since then, he actually texted me about this mastermind thing that's going on. At first I didn't want to go because I was trying to avoid traveling, and based on where I am right now. But eventually I decided like, hey, it's probably worth it, especially because I found out that Ali was not going to come to the US anytime soon. So decided to go, bought my ticket, and flew to London. And probably the biggest unlock that happened there was, for a long time I've been like struggling on what do I do next in the business. About 6 months ago, I decided that I was going to probably just like level off this business and maybe just like sustain it in the background while working on a new business, a new product, helping people launch businesses online, because that's kind of exactly what I've done like over the past year. And that really fit with this narrative that everybody's telling me, because everybody was saying the number one question everyone has had for me was, Aman, you're no longer a software engineer. How are you going to keep coaching people to get this job if you're getting out of touch? Like, how are you going to stay quote unquote relatable? And that really got to my head. So I thought, oh, like I can't. So therefore I need to switch. I need to start a new brand, start a new model, start like, posting videos about business, because that is where I have new authority now. And that's where I can stay relevant. But I completely like broke that down over the past few weeks. And there were a couple of like major insights I had to do that. So the first one was that the CEO of the Princeton Review is not a med student. They're not in high school doing the SAT, right? Just because you run a business that does something doesn't mean you're not actually doing the thing on a daily basis, right? Even if you look at like the director of admissions for a medical school, like they're not necessarily like a doctor, or they're not med students. Like they are like separated from that a bit, and they become like excellent leaders, executors, and hiring and training, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is that as you scale something, it's really hard to get something from scratch to this point where I'm at right now. So as entrepreneurs, we are rewarded for switching. Like, for example, last time I switched something, I quit my job and started this, and it was super successful. So my brain has learned that when things get tough/boring, the answer is quit and do something else. But that's actually not the right answer at this stage. The right solution is dig my heels in and keep on pushing, right? Because it's really hard to grow something. Like, I'm sure if I started this other business helping people like start the business online, sure, it'd be a new shiny object. I have a lot of fun. Like, I really enjoy talking about this. But there would be some other challenge, some other difficulty that would come up, and there'd be some other problem, right? And not only that, I'm sure I would get disconnected from that audience too. Meaning, like, I would start teaching people how to make like 0 to 10K, and then I'm at like the $1 million mark or something, and that's not at all what these people are at, right? So I would feel like more disconnected about that as well, like a lot of other creators are in that regard. So those are like a couple of things that came to mind as to why like switching is not necessarily the answer. And like the final thing is, my goal is to scale this to like, the number is like $10 million in revenue, hopefully in the next 3 to 5 years. And then just like either sell the business or bring in a CEO, and it'll be like a cash flow thing. And that is on the horizon, especially because like we're only YouTube organic right now. We're not even on Instagram. We're not even doing LinkedIn. We're not even doing any other platforms. So there's like a massive opportunity here to like keep on growing, keep on scaling, keep on expanding. So the action points I'm going to take are, we're actually hiring a director of curriculum, and this person's full-time job is going to be like researching, talking to recruiters, talking to software engineers, researching the job market, and then modifying the program to like actually be relevant and stay up to date. Because I'm not a software engineer, but I realize at this point my job is hiring other people to do that for me.
Okay, that is amazing and definitely new news for me as well. As you can tell from our conversations, all of my guests have taken the leap, bet on themselves, and it paid off. One of the best ways to create something of your own or to make a successful business is to create content. If you do want to learn how to create better and more content in half the time, I created a free 5-day email series where I share my top tips for optimizing your content system, how to be more confident on camera, and most of all, how to have the courage to stick it out so that you can actually see what you're capable of. Give yourself your best shot at growing your personal brand. The guide is completely free. Just sign up with a link in my description. My question then is, you are essentially leveling it off in the future, like no longer as quickly as you intended, but still planning to have it run in the background once you get it to a certain scalable, much larger size, right, with the CEO. Is that the conclusion, I guess?
Yeah, so the goal is to step into that whole like identity of being a CEO. So something that I've been thinking a lot about, and I feel like we have discussed this part at least, is the spectrum between influencer to entrepreneur, and where does someone fall along that spectrum. And your metrics and your decisions are completely different based on like where you fall in that spectrum. So I feel like for most of my career and like life, I've been in that influencer area where it's like making videos about all sorts of things, worrying about being on different platforms, worrying about subscribers, views, followers. And I'm moving to more towards that entrepreneur side of the spectrum. So when someone's an entrepreneur, they optimize for revenue and profit. And that's like their bottom line, right? It's like profit, revenue, and maybe like customer satisfaction's like 5-star reviews and testimonials, or like some good metrics they optimize for. The influencer optimizes for brand deals, views, and subscribers, right? So those are like those metrics there. So as I move more in this direction, some of like the decisions I'm making are I'm purposefully like making videos that will get less views but convert more from the program. So for example, there was a video that I posted called like getting a software engineering job is hard until you do this. And that video like bombed. It only got like 3 or 4 thousand views on it. And my influencer side of my brain was like deeply depressed. I was like, oh my God, like it's over. I'm screwed. And meanwhile, like a few weeks ago, I had another video that got like 20 or 30,000 views on it. So I was like, oh, that's like a lot better. That's like 10 times the views. But I've recently set up software to be able to track like who books consultation calls from those videos. And I was able to see that the one that got 3,000 views on it got 10 times more consultation calls booked per view. So even though it got 3,000 views, in terms of like revenue, it was the same as the 10 or 20,000 view video, right? So that showed me that like optimizing for views is not actually good for the bottom line. So those are some like big decisions I'm making differently in terms of optimization. Another thing is like hiring the right people. So I'm hiring like a director of operations. So someone to like sit between me on the conversions and fulfillment side of things. And then also like I promoted my scriptwriter to be like a marketing director. So she's going to be like managing the content side of things, like organizing the videos, creating a content calendar and stuff. So I'm not like in the weeds with that as well.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I do feel like someone who starts out as a business owner, they would see the business you currently have and be like, oh my gosh, this is a great opportunity to continue capitalizing on. Like originally it was via social media that you saw this is a marketing funnel opportunity. But now that you have this business, the next opportunity is for it to be even bigger and to essentially take it to the moon per your goal of like selling it or having a CEO. So that's a very interesting, I guess, dichotomy of the creator versus entrepreneur, because perhaps the reason that I'm thinking you wanted to go more business route too is because computer science seemed like it was part of your brand. And maybe you don't like that brand because it doesn't really resonate with you. But the business side is a shinier, more attractive brand, especially because it's more relevant. That's if you think like a creator. But if you're an entrepreneur, sure, you run a software engineering accelerator or a career coaching business, but your identity is still the CEO because that is just your business. It's not that you're a software engineer itself.
Yeah, that's a great point because I feel like this is the best of both worlds where I can still run a software engineering career consulting business while stepping into that role as the CEO of that business. And that way I can get both itches scratched where it's like, I'm not going to just give up this business and like give up all the clients and everything we've done so far. Instead, I can like still get that itch scratched of like working about business and entrepreneurship and stuff. And on the other side, another big thing I've realized is like I need to like know where am I putting my dollars and where am I putting my time? Are they going to a Aman influencer or a Aman CEO of Software Engineering Accelerator? And I need to like disassociate both those things. So for example, something you do know is I'm posting on Instagram this month a lot of like fun reels from our podcast.
Yeah.
And that actually has nothing to do with software engineering. So in my mind, originally I was like, oh, I'm going to spend this money on this agency to post this because it's like useful in general. But then I'm like, wait, but it's not just contributing to any dollars or anything. Like it's not doing any sales for the program. It's not helping students succeed in tech or anything. So it's actually not a good use of money at this point to like put it towards that. Now that's not saying like I'm not going to do brand building in the business side of things. Like I am starting a business channel and like a business dedicated podcast and everything, but I should see that as like my side hustle. That should be like my day job is I'm the CEO of this company. And then like in my weekends and evenings, I like play around for fun on this like business channel,
Yeah.
you know, rather than like devoting, like a CEO is not going to devote company resources towards like their own hobby. That doesn't make any sense. So I should not treat that the same way.
Yeah, exactly. I've also discovered that if you try to do both things, building a business and growing the influencer brand, neither of them work very well. You have to do one or the other. For one platform, one audience, you do the business thing. And then another platform, like for you, it's Instagram. It's going to be the more influencer Aman.
Exactly. Like I've literally decided Instagram is influencer Aman. Yeah. And YouTube is like CEO, business, marketing
Mm.
Aman, software engineering. And that business channel is going to be influencer Aman, but in the business space. Right. So like I now have like it's so clear to me now because it's like now I can literally bucket the different platforms and like whether this is like a software engineering accelerator company subsidiary platform or this is like Aman having fun on the side for his own business influencer or whatever.
Yeah, wow, what a coincidence. I've also been thinking of separating my, I guess, branches
Mhm.
on social media because when I started YouTube, it was when I was consulting. So that was the side hustle and all a mush of social media, I guess, because I was just trying to see what works, like whether it's TikTok, Instagram, or anything. And now that is my full-time thing. For too long, I was still treating it like a mush, like it was all one purpose of growing views or the brand or whatever. But over time, it's become really overwhelming to handle. And especially then I get an editor for this and an editor for that. And I'm like, oh, well, I still want to grow the influencer side, but I also want to build a more sustainable business. And so, how I'm thinking about my YouTube now is that this is a thing that generates income for me. So, that is my quote unquote corporate job that I'm going to take more seriously. Then I have some side hustles or side projects for fun that are also social media, but it's going to be much more separated and have a different priority.
Yeah, I think that's a really good approach. So I guess is your approach that like the Amy Wang YouTube channel is kind of like that bread and butter. It's like the main, I guess, quote unquote, like corporate thing that like is the business. And then is CEO of life to you like that like side thing where it's like more about your passion of like growing into more business stuff? Are you planning on monetizing both? Like what's your approach there?
Yeah, great question. So perhaps this is still a little complicated, so you can let me know your thoughts on this. But I'm joining Tintin's program in mid-September. I already, woo.
Oh.
I paid
My man.
a quarter of the amount already. But what we discussed is to actually use this platform where I'm attracting people who are a little more like entrepreneurial focused and who want to grow as a creator, but in particular, those who are very busy, just like I was. And I realized that most of the struggle actually, when you're trying to grow your own brand and business when you have a corporate job, is not necessarily courage and it's not necessarily knowledge, but it's how easy it is because you don't have a lot of time to devote to learning, how to optimize a script, thumbnail, title, etc. And so I think targeting this sector will be like, oh, how can I make this the easiest for you? Where instead of just sharing the information of like, oh, here's how you do a title and thumbnail, which all the information exists already, I can share the more operational side of like, here's how you hire editors and like really drive them toward that. And here's how you outsource all these different things. And here's actually my workflow that took me years to build. And then at the same time, I can be a mentor where, like, with all these years of experience, this is what I wish I knew before starting. That is more personal and a lot less common to hear on YouTube.
Nice. So in terms of the, I guess, product you're planning on building, do you know, have you decided like what the outcome is planning to be like for the student of the product? I know we were talking a while ago about this whole idea of like helping busy professionals with like the life side of things. Have you decided like what kind of outcome you're planning on going for?
Yeah, so this is a little in the works right now that I'm working with Sean on, but we've actually realized that Chinese editors are a very untapped market or like resource, untapped resource.
Yeah.
That is the right word. Because they're not only very smart and professional and capable, but their cost is quite low. And I'd say that their quality is a lot higher than the other, countries that I've been trying. So there's this advantage we have where Sean's, fluent Chinese. He understands the culture and the platforms and everything. And so what we're thinking is, in conjunction with the coaching and mentorship, where we make like an editing agency essentially. And, we connect these really talented Chinese editors to aspiring creators and make it just that much more possible for them to get their reps in. And at the same time, we have a bit of a moat here because, that's the whole reason why I myself have not gotten Chinese editors yet. And so I'm in the process of doing that for myself. We'll see how that works. That's kind of an idea we're very excited about right now, but that's like one arm of this mentorship program where the outcome, I suppose, would be it's not that like concrete of a transformation yet, but it's like, oh, let me make it possible for you to make one video in under 3 hours a week for example, and for you to feel confident and make it fun, flexible, and free again. Because I think the problem with when you take YouTube seriously and you're very busy in a job, it's not super flexible because of your job, and then you have so much time you have to commit to actually producing a video, and so you don't have as much freedom of like actually thinking of ideas and being the human side of things. You have to wear many hats instead of just being the talent. And so the goal or the transformation in one sentence would be, you become the talent, we handle the rest.
Yeah, that's really cool. I've worked with a lot of editing agencies, but they've never like tapped into like the Chinese editor market. It's always like Philippines is what I've worked with. So that's actually very interesting and very cool. I'm excited to see like how the market goes for finding Chinese editors. I also think you're right that you guys have like a really good moat there and like a very like specific niche. The fact that like both of you guys can like speak fluent like Chinese, which is great. So yeah, it's really interesting. I'm excited to see like how that goes. I just want to hear your take on this as well. One thing I realized is like a lot of creators start because they want to like make money from it. I think like it's usually like a combination of, oh, this is like fun, but then in the back of your head you're like, it could be cool, this is a full-time job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think if you actually ask these creators like deep down, what do they want? They'd be like, oh, it'd be great if this could be like either my full-time job or this could like provide like a really stable income as well. So what do you feel like the playbook is nowadays if someone like wants to be a creator from scratch? Like let's say someone hasn't posted their first video on anything or done anything. What do you feel like the playbook is nowadays?
I think that in the case of my target audience, it would be to funnel as much money you can toward getting all the reps in you can. Because no matter how much information you get on the internet, which, you know, I've tried, like I had years of synthesizing information that was all very valid of how to grow on YouTube, I still had to get my own reps in to truly understand and improve and to find my unique voice and to share my unique story, which at the end of the day, you have to stand out in order to make it in the saturated market. And so there has to be a lot of self-discovery. And that comes with getting more videos out and having more time to reflect and iterate upon those videos. So my trouble was, you know, I was editing alongside my editors, reviewing videos, working on scripts, everything besides the reflecting part. And the reflecting part was the element that can accelerate my growth a lot more. And so that's what I think the first step would be, is just to like, you know, people spend a lot of money on expensive hobbies like, I don't know, skiing or figure skating, like our friend, for example. So I think that they can also spend it on quote unquote a hobby, but it's something that truly also makes them happy, plus has that potential of saving them from their full-time corporate job.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think a great unlock for a lot of people, and me especially, is realizing that it's fine to put money into YouTube even if it hasn't been profitable yet. And if you see, this is almost like the influencer and entrepreneur side of things again. The influencer is afraid to spend on an editor because they're like, oh, I haven't earned X amount, or I don't earn enough to spend on an editor, or it's fine. Like, I'll spend my time to edit their own videos. The entrepreneur knows that every business takes a loss at the beginning to become profitable, right? Like everyone who runs a startup, they often like raise millions of dollars and lose millions of dollars in the beginning to see like before, you know, maybe 5 or 10 years down the line, the startup becomes profitable. So if you want to actually take being a creator seriously, I totally agree with you. I think you need to see it as almost like your startup, and all startups lose money, right? Like Jeff Bezos, I think Amazon might still lose money in certain regards, but they definitely did at the beginning with like all of their books. They would like offer their books at like $1 and like pay the author like $10 or whatever. So they would like lose all of their money until that's how they like conquer the whole book market, because they lost money in the beginning. So if you actually want to be a successful creator, you definitely have to be comfortable with investing in editing. We actually have a friend, Richard, who I was like trying to convince to like invest in short form editing for his Instagram, because he was talking to me how he's spending like 5 to 10 hours editing like a short.
Oh,
He was like learning how to edit and everything. And
I told him to do that too.
let's go. Right? Because it's like he wants to like make a brand about, I guess for context, he runs these like really epic board game nights in New York City. And he was trying to like actually capture some of that. And he has such great footage, right? But he wanted to like build a brand. And one problem he was running into is the fact that he's only posted like a handful of reels in like multiple months, because he works a full-time job. He has to organize all the events. He has to like manage all of that stuff. And he also has to like watch an editing course and also edit. It genuinely makes no sense, especially to someone who has a full-time income. What I wanted him to do was, he was getting like offered $10,000+ from board game companies to do like brand deals with them. So I was telling him, Richard, just work with the brand deals. you be the one who organizes that, like get the brand deal cash and just spend that all on like the editors to do the editing, or have like a partner who's like the social media manager of your brand. You focus on like the sponsorship acquisition side of things and the organizing of the actual board game nights. So maybe he's implemented that since I talked to him, but that's like my perspective on it.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. Last time I was trying to convince him, he was like, "Oh yeah, Amon told me the same thing." And then I gave him websites like People Per Hour, and I also told him some tips of like always get a free sample using a raw footage beforehand, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, so helpful. Yeah, I'm gonna do that." And so yeah, I'm really excited, and I feel like it's really crazy how people don't realize that. And for me, actually, at the beginning, I was also thinking like an influencer because I wasn't earning any money from it. And what I realized after spending 20 hours on a video that got 400 views was like, there's no way I can see my true potential unless I get more reps in, and I'm going to have to put in money. And I realized if I'm willing to spend, $40 on a meal, well, that could be like an hour of editing from someone else. And even then, I still regret not putting more cash in when I had that corporate job on the side. And so that's what I'm trying to change now.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think what's funny is that is this you went to that event like last week, right? With Rich.
Yeah,
Is that when you talked to him?
the pitch competition, yes.
Yeah.
And it's funny, my team actually won.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
yeah, it was really fun.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah, I want to ask you then, when you were hesitant about joining the mastermind,
Mhm.
so with it being, I think like $6,000 or so,
I think it was 3,000.
3,000. Okay,
Yeah.
that's double. But still, the flight and like time
Yeah,
travel.
flight with all of that, it's like over 6,000 for sure in total.
Yeah. So, how did you kind of calculate the ROI when you decided to go for it? And what is a mastermind really?
So the definition of a mastermind is, and it varies a lot. On one side of the spectrum, some masterminds are you sit there in a crowd of like 1,000 people and they bring like Navy SEALs to scream at you. I've actually been to one or two of those. Not worth it.
Okay.
The other side of the spectrum is a mastermind like this, where it's a structured work day of workshops. So it was a small group. It was, I think, like 10 to 15 entrepreneurs slash creators, and then like 15 of Ali and his employees. So the ratio was really good. There was almost like one person on Ali's team per every attendee of the mastermind. So that was really, really useful. So essentially the way the day went was like beforehand, his team basically sent us like questions on like what are we looking forward to getting out of this, what are our biggest challenges, and like a series of questions like that we actually submitted ahead of time. Then his team created like a structured day of like workshops and different problems that everybody was facing in business. They also provided like all food and everything, and they had like a cool barbecue dinner, and like they had like really nice event space and coffee and everything. It turns out that he actually said that they didn't make really much on it. It was just like almost all reinvested, which I believe, especially because like all of his team members were there and he paid all of them to be there. That was interesting as well. And the way I thought about it was like, at first, again, I was reluctant because I didn't want to travel. I just traveled a lot. Like, I just went home for a few weeks, and I just thought like, hey, what if I just spent those like 1 or 2 weeks working on my business? Like, I would earn a lot. So I'm like missing out on a lot by like traveling and going there.
So your concern was more the time
It
than
was more the
cost.
time. The cost is like kind of negligible.
Okay, okay.
Meaning like in terms of the value you get, right? At this point, it's like it's crazy how much I spend on things. Like I probably spend like $100,000 a month on like different things.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll go into that later, but yeah, it's very interesting. So, why for you is it like the cost negligible compared to the value? Like, how do you think where it might be different from the person listening who's like unwilling to spend on editing or like any course,
Yeah.
for example, or any coaching?
Yeah. So I guess the real question is like, what is the difference between a cost and an investment? So if you think about something as like a cost, I see a car as like a cost, right? If you buy a car, the second you drive that thing off the lot, it loses like a lot of its value. Almost no one resells cars to actually get more back. On the flip side, if you invest like a few $1,000s in like an index fund, that is by definition an investment, right? Like you're on average going to get like 5 to 8% back year after year after year. So in my mind, it's more like what is the ROI on this amount of money? Like if I spend $3,000 or I put that $3,000 in the stock market versus this Ali Abdullah mastermind versus I don't know, just putting it in my bank account or spending it on like a trip to like Bali or something. Like what do those different things invest in? And when you're doing a business that's earning like 6 figures a month, at least at this point, I knew that like a $3,000 investment in this mastermind where I was going to connect with Ali, I was meeting with the CEO, I was meeting with like a bunch of other entrepreneurs and business people, was going to pay off dividends in the long term. I also know that like just based on my own experience, I've invested like again like hundreds of thousands of dollars in like different things over the past couple of years. and almost none of them have not paid off in terms of ROI in that investment. I've almost never lost money on anything based on what I've seen. Now some are better than others. Like of course there's some like programs and investments I've made that have benefited, and I have like lost a few things. Like I had to hire people and fire them instantly within a few weeks, and that was lost money for sure. But in general, as a business, all businesses are experimenting and putting money in different areas to make more from that. So I just knew like for a fact it was going to be ROI positive. And I guess like the example you asked, like how could someone of this audience think about that? Like especially with regard of hiring an editor. So the way I think about it is, let's say a full-time creator makes $10,000 a month. Maybe it could be less, could be more. Let's just say that, right? Editing a video costs like $150 per edit or so. Let's just say it costs, I don't know, $100 on average, right? That's like 50 to 100 video editing costs, right? In 1 month. So how many videos do you think it posts for someone to like get big enough to actually go full time? Obviously it varies a lot, but I've only ever posted like 120 videos on my channel. So most people within a few hundred videos, if they're actually improving, they're putting a lot of time and effort, and with enough time can like build a brand. You know what I mean? So the way I think about it is like the cost is negligible. Like that's like, I don't know, a few tens of thousands of dollars. And if you're getting back like $10,000 a month off of that channel, that it literally just like it just goes away. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of people are fine with investing in university and like spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on that, but like $150 to edit a video is like a cost to them. But I just see it as an investment.
Yeah, I see two additional reasons to hire an editor. Firstly, if you make 4 videos on your own, right? And then you're pouring all your time editing, which is probably not the reason you want to start your YouTube channel. It's not so you can become an editor, right? Then you're spending, let's say 10 hours. That's 40 hours total editing those videos. And you probably don't have a lot of mind share or like mental space and clarity to understand like why each video is performing as it does. But if you get an editor, then in just 2 videos, maybe you can already understand exactly what you need to do to make the next 2 videos better. And so those 4 videos where you worked with an editor are almost guaranteed to be many times better than the 4 videos you edited yourself.
Yeah.
And so actually in the long run, you editing yourself is actually costing you more because it's costing you more time and giving you less improvement. Plus the second reason is that especially as a business owner, you can write off anything you do. And so everything is 33% off. Plus it's toward your business for you to earn more money. And so even from a financial standpoint, it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, I agree. Even like on the editing example and the time-wise, like let's say you spend 10 hours to edit a video. Imagine if you allocated that 10 hours to making more videos. Like you could probably write a script and film at least 3 or 4 videos in those 10 focused hours, right? You're producing 4+ times as much content. And this is an exponential game. Like if you're producing 4 times as much content, you're not going to get successful 4 times faster. You'll get successful like 20 times faster because it's exponential. You know what I mean? So I think it is honestly like a no-brainer to outsource as much as possible at the beginning.
Yeah, for sure. So from this mastermind specifically, what do you think were the biggest gains or things you learned or like connections you made?
All right, so I just pulled up a document called Aman and Nazar's Master Plan.
Oh my gosh. It sounds like you're going to conquer the world.
Right? And there's like short-term, medium-term, and long-term takeaways from this mastermind.
Oh.
So
Aman forgot he was in a podcast and spilled all his business secrets.
I want one person to serve as like a content manager. So I'm just like I'm in the clouds. I talk to this one person and then she like manages all these people there. So I probably just do like a weekly meeting once a week where I'm like, what videos do we have in the pipeline? We've got like 6 videos ahead. We need these thumbnails. Can you just boom, 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 approve these thumbnails, give this feedback. Okay, goodbye, Aman. Do whatever you want while we handle all this stuff.
Okay, that's awesome. I actually am implementing that myself.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Is this your editing manager?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's go. Actually, I kind of like was inspired by you a little bit there because I know in like the back of my head, I knew that you had like one of your editors as an editing manager as well. So definitely worth it.
Ooh, yay.
So those are kind of like the 4 big like hires I'm planning on doing in the next 3 months. And I got most of that from the mastermind actually.
Oh, okay. Wow, that is awesome. And this is gonna, give you outsized returns far beyond what we can even imagine right now.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that I could do like the marketing ops person until I went to that mastermind. So it's insane. And like not only that, there's like so much more. There's like
Hold on. I know you have a lot.
Yeah, we can be done now.
So With sharing all these, why is it not a concern for this to be out in the internet as you're sharing on this podcast that will be posted on YouTube?
Did not think about that. I guess
I was expecting a lot more high level. I'm glad you have a document. I can cut what you said if you want, but I was actually thinking, like some people, some entrepreneurs I know, a lot of startup founders, in fact, they say that the idea is not the moat. It is the execution, and it's like the team and everything else, right? And so that's why they're not afraid to share their ideas, but perhaps you have a different perspective on that.
I think I also forgot that this is a podcast. I'm like sharing all of like my
Yeah, you're going so granular. I was like not expecting that. But anyway,
Yeah.
okay, we'll go. Okay, we'll go into the next one. Well, it seems like you have a lot of work to work on. With this ending question, what does being the CEO of your life mean to you?
Being the CEO of my life means that I take ownership over every part of my life and the like profitability of those areas. So I guess what does it mean to like be a profitable, like have profitability with like my relationship? It means that like issues that come up, like fights that I have with my relationship and stuff, and like disagreements, we like tackle them head on, and we take ownership over creating a system that we both feel like seen and heard in the long term. Like having a profitable like health system to me means that like I take my health into my own hands. Like I don't just like bury things under the rug. It means that like let's say I have health issue. Let's say I want to like focus on the gym. Like I actually like structure it, make a part of my routine, have like metrics that I'm tracking, whether it's like my lifts or my calories or my weight or like my physique or whatever. And I'm like systematically improving in that. So to me, like being a CEO of my life means that I have like goals, not just for business, but for all aspects of life. And I like deliberately focus on improving those just like with business.
Okay. Love that. Thank you so much, Aman.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, everyone can follow Aman down with the links that will be in the description. You can check out our podcasts that will be coming out as well on Aman's new business channel.